The sound of rain tapping on broken window panes was the only companion 8-year-old Lena had that night. She sat on the cold wooden floor of an abandoned, crumbling house, hugging her thin knees to her chest as if to protect herself from the world. The shadows danced on the cracked walls, and each creak of the wind sent a shiver down her spine. The scent of damp wood and loneliness filled the air. No one knew she was there. No one cared. At least that's what she believed. Lena hadn't always lived in darkness. There had been a time when laughter echoed in her father's small but cozy home. Her father, Camel, was her whole world, a hardworking carpenter who made sure his little girl always had warm food and bedtime stories. But when Camel remarried after Lena's mother's passing, everything changed. At first, Lena thought her new stepmother, Nadia, would be her friend, someone who would braid her hair and sing her lullabies like her mother used to. But Nadia's smile was a mask. Behind closed doors, she was cold, cruel, and heartless. She disliked children, especially ones who reminded her of the woman she replaced. After Camel's sudden death in a workplace accident, Nadia's cruelty worsened. The moment she inherited the house, she treated Lena like an unwanted burden. The night she was abandoned. It was a stormy evening when Nadia's patience ran out. She packed her bags, sold what little furniture was left, and told Lena they were going on a trip. The child's heart fluttered with hope, thinking perhaps things were finally changing. But Nadia drove her to a remote, half-ruined house on the outskirts of town, a place no one ever visited, and left her there. "I can't waste my life raising someone else's child," Nadia spat, her words sharp as knives. "Stay here if you want. I don't care what happens to you." Lena's tiny fingers clutched her stepmother's sleeve, begging, "Please don't leave me here. I'll be good, I promise." But Nadia shoved her away and slammed the car door. Lena's cries faded into the distance as the car disappeared into the rain, leaving behind only the echo of her sobs. A week of silence and hunger. Days passed. Lena survived on rainwater dripping through the cracks and a few stale crackers she found in a forgotten drawer. The nights were worse, long, cold, and terrifying. She often talked to the moon through the broken window, whispering stories to herself just to feel less alone. Her small body grew weaker, but her spirit refused to give up. She believed her father was watching over her somehow. The Millionaire's arrival. Across town, Zayn Malik, a 35-year-old tech millionaire, had his own demons to face. Despite his wealth, his life felt empty. Having grown up in poverty himself, he often drove alone late at night, trying to silence the guilt of not being able to save his younger sister who had died years ago from neglect. That rainy evening, his car broke down near the deserted area where Lena was abandoned. While calling for help, he thought he heard faint crying carried by the wind. Something about the sound tugged at his heart. He followed it, his flashlight cutting through the darkness until he reached the broken house. Through the cracked window, he saw her, a frail little girl curled up on the floor, her hair tangled, her eyes wide with fear. "Hey, it's okay. I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly, crouching to her level. Lena hesitated, clutching a torn blanket closer to herself. She had learned not to trust strangers, but there was kindness in Zayn's eyes, a warmth she hadn't seen since her father's death. A new beginning with challenges. Zayn took Lena to the hospital first. The doctors were shocked at her condition, malnourished, dehydrated, and emotionally traumatized. During her stay, she barely spoke, her trust shattered. At home, Zayn prepared a cozy room for her, painted it in cheerful colors, filled it with books and toys. But the road to healing wasn't easy. Lena struggled with nightmares, often waking up screaming for her father. She avoided sitting at the dining table, afraid she'd be scolded for eating too much. Zayn realized he couldn't just give her material comfort. He had to rebuild her trust in humanity. Slowly, he began to share his own painful childhood stories. He told her about his sister, how he had once been a scared little boy, too. Little by little, Lena began to open up. She laughed for the first time in months when Zayn clumsily tried to braid her hair and ended up tangling it worse. She started drawing pictures of a happy home and a man with kind eyes, her way of showing her gratitude. The courtroom battle. When Nadia found out that Lena had been rescued by a millionaire, she tried to return, claiming custody, not out of love but greed. She saw Lena as her ticket to Zayn's wealth. The legal battle that followed was intense. Lena was terrified at the thought of going back to the woman who had abandoned her. In court, she clung to Zayn's hand as if it were her lifeline. With the help of evidence and witness accounts of Nadia's neglect, the judge granted Zayn full guardianship of Lena. That day, Lena hugged Zayn tightly and whispered, "I finally have a dad again." An inspiring ending. Under Zayn's care, Lena thrived. She excelled in school, finding joy in painting and storytelling. Her laughter returned to the house that once felt empty. Years later, Lena grew into a confident young woman, inspired to become a child psychologist to help kids who had suffered as she once had. Zayn often told people, "Saving Lena saved me too. She gave me a reason to live again." The two weren't bound by blood but by something far stronger, unconditional love. A message to the viewers. This story reminds us that kindness can change lives. No child deserves to be abandoned, and no heart is too broken to heal with love. Speech balloon comment below. What part of Lena's journey touched your heart the most? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Be kind always for more stories that inspire hope and compassion.